All right. I am Kristi. I am your host for Unfudge Your Marketing. I'm a marketing consultant and strategist, and I specialize in working with professional service businesses who have relied on referrals and word of mouth to build their business. They're ready to take it to that next level, and they know that they need a strategic marketing plan to get that done. So this is Unfudge Your Marketing. This is a series where I will be chatting with business owners about marketing missteps, mishaps, maybe some marketing experiences that didn't quite go the way that they had hoped. And most importantly, giving you helpful takeaways that you can apply to your own business. So I'm super excited for this very first inaugural episode. My guest today is Erika Andersen. She is the founding partner of Proteus, where she and her colleagues support leaders at all levels to get ready and stay ready to meet the future. Erika advises senior executives and shares her insights through her books, speaking engagements, and social media. In addition to her latest book, Change from the Inside Out, she is the author of 4 previous best-selling books: Be Bad First, Leading So People Will Follow, Being Strategic, and Growing Great Employees. Erika is also a popular leadership blogger at Forbes.com and the creator and host of the Proteus Leader Show podcast. You can connect with Erika on LinkedIn or on Twitter, and I will share all of those notes after the show. So I want to go ahead and welcome Erika on to join me. Thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So I want to be fully transparent in this show. So Erika and I have known each other since the end of last year. So Erika reached out to me. She found me online looking for some marketing help for Proteus. And so the conversation we're going to have today is just kind of taking us back to prior to working with me, kind of things that were happening at Proteus, why they were seeking some marketing help. And we're going to talk through that journey. And like I said, most important, really focus on some of those key lessons learned for Erika and her team at Proteus with regards to their marketing efforts. So thank you so much, Erika, for being here.
Very excited about having this conversation.
Awesome. I'm so excited. I was so happy you were game to do my very first episode with me because I know some of the backstory, right? Because we've had some great conversations over the past, what has it been now? 8 months?
Months, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Time flies. So, Erika, I would love to just kind of open it up to you to talk about what led you to seeking out marketing help to begin with at Proteus.
Okay, so, and I think this is probably true of a lot of professional services companies that grow. You know, for many years, we started the company in 1990, and for many years, our marketing just consisted of referrals. People who were satisfied customers would tell other people they knew, or we would say to customers, is there anyone you know professionally that you think would like working with us? And clients would go to other companies and bring us in. And so that worked. But then starting probably, I'd say right before the pandemic, probably about 5 years ago, we thought, okay, if we want to keep growing, now it's gone beyond that. We need to start doing some marketing. We need to be more intentional about sharing our message with people that are beyond our circle of kind of friends of Proteus and people that we know. So that was our initial impulse for getting some marketing help.
Yes. And I think you are so right. There are so many businesses who are able to launch and be successful for a number of years based on those relationships, right? That you, the founder, and the leadership team that you have developed there has been able to, sustain your business and help you grow into a very healthy sized business. Yeah. And then you kind of get to that point where you're like, okay, we're here and we want to, ensure that future and we want to grow.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so I would love for you to take us through, and again, I know the backstory here, so I'm trying to be a good interviewer and pretend like I don't, for all of those watching our show. Tell us about the experience that you had going out initially to find someone to help you with your marketing.
Okay, so and I wasn't very involved in this. So for the last couple of years, I've stepped back from the day-to-day running of the world. I think of myself as running of the world of Proteus. I think of myself as kind of semi-retired at this point, and my partners are running the business. And so they really took charge of this with another person on leadership team. And they looked to find a marketing agency that could help us. So that was the first step that they took. And I think now this is probably about 3 years ago. Yeah, that's probably about right, 21, 22. And what more should I say about that?
Yeah, no, that's okay. I was just dropping a note in the chat too to let people know that they can feel free to weigh in and ask questions as we're chatting here. So you went out to find somebody. You weren't totally involved, so we don't have the full picture of that process. But who did you end up? I mean, we're not naming names, but what type of group did you end up working with, and what was the scope of some of the work that they were doing for you?
Great question, and it's almost, I mean, I was looking at it from one step back. So there were two people on our leadership team who were running, kind of in charge of this effort, and I would say that was one of our mistakes, is neither one of them really had that much of a feel for marketing, hadn't done in the past, really kind of didn't know exactly what they were looking for. And the agency that we connected with, I would say in retrospect that and this probably happens a lot, their expertise was really technological. They were good at the SEO part of it, at looking at our website and saying, you don't really have good SEO, you don't have good search terms, you need to group that up, at figuring out how to use data better in our social media. But I would say, in retrospect, they weren't great marketing people. They didn't really understand marketing strategy in the way you do, and kind of how do you get clear about the message you're trying to send and who your core, your ideal customer is going to be, and what are the core things that you want to say to them, and how does that relate to your offer. They marketed themselves at that, but in retrospect, I would say they were not good at that. That wasn't their area of expertise, even though they kind of implied that it was.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So there's kind of two pieces there that we haven't, dove into this conversation this deeply. So first thing was kind of the internal stakeholders at Proteus maybe didn't necessarily know what they were looking for in that marketing provider that they were looking to hire. And I think that's so common.
Yes.
Right? Because you're hiring someone for that exact reason. You're not an expert in that space. And so you want to find that strategic partner to bring in to help you grow your marketing efforts. And so you
want to find that strategic partner, but one of the things I realized in retrospect is you kind of have to know some stuff to start with. You have to know what good looks like. So I have the benefit of having, for many years, having had clients in marketing, and that I myself felt kind of connected to it. Like, I understand marketing. I understand what you're trying to do when you market a thing. And so when I looked for you last year, I kind of knew what I was looking for. I was looking for somebody who could help us speak better and more concisely and more coherently about who we were and what we could offer to our clients. And I'm not sure that the folks on our team who were working with this agent before could have said that. They couldn't have said what would a good marketing team, outside marketing team, look like. And I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, definitely. It's so interesting too, because that actually takes me back to my higher ed days. And I remember I had the best boss in the world when I worked in higher ed. And I still remember we were in a situation, without going too far into the weeds here, we were in a situation where we were working with a third party who was like running a ton of the online program that we were doing, including the marketing and the admissions process. And so they really did the heavy lifting, and we didn't really need to know that much about the marketing side. I mean, we asked questions, we looked, improved things, but we didn't have to know like intricate details of like, how exactly does this work when you're, paying for ads, and then where do those leads go, and like all of those things, and what are the metrics that you want to pay attention to. And I remember when we ended that relationship and we had to like bring all of those functions in-house to the institution, we were kind of like, okay, where do we go from here? And I remember we started interviewing marketing agencies to do that type of work for us, like create the collateral and give us recommendations on where do we place ads. And it was like immersing ourselves in this whole new world that we didn't have to know that much about until this point.
Yes.
And I always laugh because I still remember my boss saying to one of the partners one of the agencies that we were potentially looking to hire, he was like, I need you to explain it to me like I'm a golden retriever.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I think unfortunately, and I'm not saying that these people did this intentionally, but I think what happens a lot for small companies, especially because the people in the company who are hiring these marketing folks don't actually know what they're looking for or what good looks like or what the, we spent a lot more money than we should have for not very great outcomes because it was overkill. They weren't really. In fact, we didn't spend half the money that they told us we should have. And in retrospect, I mean, that's the point at which I kind of said, you guys, I don't really think this is working. I think we need to go in a different direction. And they agreed, my partners agreed. But I think a lot of times because the people, the small business people, the professional services business people who are hiring marketing people don't know what they're looking for and don't know what good looks like. It's like, yes, pay us $150,000 to do this. It's like, whoa, that's a lot of money,
Right, right. And again, I want to just, especially for everyone who's listening, this is so common. Like this is not, unfortunately, it's not unique to
Yeah.
you and to Proteus that business owners find themselves in this position where they're told they need to spend a significant amount of money, and then you're kind of like, wait, what did we get for that investment?
Yeah.
And now what do we do? Because we still don't necessarily feel like we accomplished that initial goal that we set out to accomplish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think is good in retrospect is having, I mean, it'd be great in your life if you didn't have to make mistakes, but you often do. And then as a result of having made the mistakes, you can get clear about why a thing didn't work. And I think one of the things we did differently, by the time we connected with you is we were quite clear about what we wanted. And I think, we came to you very clearly and said, we want to be able to talk about what we do in a very clear and compelling and engaging and personal way. And we want that to generate leads. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we said. And just to have that kind of simple clarity makes all the difference in the world, I think.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I want to actually go sort of a half a step back because I do want to make sure, because I know this is something that you and I have talked about in the past, and I want to bring it up and make it very apparent to everyone who's listening is one of the key problems I remember you telling me when we first, I think in one of maybe our very first discussion was that how did you feel about the content that was going out? I don't want to use your words, but what were you telling me about the content that was being created for Proteus?
And I'm glad you brought this up because this was really at least my main problem, and I think ultimately my partner's main problem too, is they never got our voice. They never really understood who we were, how we talked to our clients, the relationship we have. And they kept being, the way I would put it is, the content they would create for us was way too corporate. It just felt like, put in a dime and get the corporate speak out, and it wasn't like we didn't give them feedback. We would give them feedback. I would show them all the blog posts, all the millions of blog posts that I've written on Forbes and on my own blog, and they just never got it. And I feel like you and the people that you've connected us up with, the other marketing resources who are wonderful, that's the, 180-degree difference is, one of your wonderful resources that you gave us, who has been Toby, who has been doing our monthly newsletters. The first one that the first draft that she sent me was a little formal, a little, not corporate, but a little formal. And what I said to her was very simply, I said, Toby, we really have a very close, warm relationship with our clients. We call them friends of Proteus. And your content is great and what you're talking about is great. You've really understood what you've read of our stuff and how we approach skill development and change. But the voice is a little formal. And it was so glorious. I mean, she sent me her revision and it was perfect. It's like, yes, that's it. You got it. That's what we need. So I think a lot of times marketing agencies don't get the voice, the specific voice of the company. And sometimes companies don't know, they almost don't know what's wrong. It's like, that doesn't sound like what I would write. That doesn't seem exactly right, but I don't know what's wrong with it. And I think it's that thing of voice, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I think, it's interesting too, because again, this is not unique. I hear it from a lot of clients where it's like, yeah, we have someone posting content for us. I don't know, like it's okay. And sometimes they stay in those relationships for a very long time, spending, their marketing budget for content to be created that they're kind of like, it's all
Yeah.
right, but
Yeah.
it's not like they're not excited about it. They feel like something's missing. Usually they tell me like, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna part ways with them, but then we're like, I don't know what to do next. Like I don't know. And one thing I think, Erika, that didn't come to me and just till just right now with this conversation with you is you have the benefit. You've written so much of your own content because you have your brand, you have your Erika Andersen brand and the Proteus brand, and you have written so much content for yourself and for Proteus. And so I think that there's a benefit, a benefit and a challenge there, right? Like you've written the brand, you've created the brand and the voice, and then that allows you to know like that doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like us.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think for people, who haven't, I've been writing stuff every day that's us for the last 30, 35 years. So I think for business owners who don't have that experience, it can be a wonderful learning curve if you have people like you and the folks you've turned us on to who are good at taking feedback and who integrate feedback well and then shift. So if you as a business owner, you may not be as clear as I was for what you're saying, haven't read from, but if you say, either that doesn't sound like we would talk, that's voice, right? Or I'm not sure you quite understand what we do. So there's the what and the how, right? That
Yeah.
if you have good people like you or like your folks that you're working with, where you say, okay, that doesn't sound like us, or that isn't really what we do. Then if they're good people, they'll say, well, can you explain to me why doesn't it, in what way is that not like you? Or how is that, what am I not understanding about what you do? And I think that's the key thing, is that good marketing people should be very curious about the feedback that they're getting from the client. It's like, oh, that's not working for you, tell me more, versus trying to like talk you out of it or tell you that, don't worry your pretty little head about it, kind of, right?
Yes. Yes. And I really, really love that point that you just hit on, because again, I want our listeners to take away very valuable, like tangible things that they can implement and think about how they can use those lessons, that you've learned from your experience. And I think that's a big one, right? Is to be able to ask, or to be able to kind of push back and just say, I don't think this is quite right. And then wait and see what their response is. That can tell you a lot.
It tells you so much. I mean, if the person that you're dealing with as a marketing person, if their immediate response is any version of trying to defend themselves or talk you out of it, they're not the right person. If their immediate response is some version of, oh, wow, so tell me more, I want to understand exactly what you're saying and how I can change. Ding, ding, ding. Right?
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. That's a great one. So I feel like there's so many lessons learned just in this one conversation. So some of the things, well, you tell me, Erika. I want to put it back on you. What are looking back at the experience of the first agency that you guys worked with, and then working with me, and I don't want to make this promotional about me and the people I connected you with, but what were some of, I guess, the lessons that you learned going through that process with the first agency versus working with me and those execution experts I connected you with? What have
So
hindsight, right? It's 2020.
if you're not going to make it promotional about you, I will, because you're awesome and all the people you've connected with are awesome. So the things that are working with our relationship are we all, you're very curious, you're extremely open. Whenever I've given you feedback, not only, I mean, you have said to me, this, a lot of times you've sent me emails when I've said I absolutely don't agree with that, or we totally aren't going to do that. You're like, okay, thanks for explaining that to me, I got it, next. So your response to feedback has always been just great, as have all your folks. And that to me is the core. If you don't have that, you're kind of screwed, right? So that's thing one. Thing two is you've always been very clear, and I think this is critical, about what we're going to do together and why. Here are the steps we're going to take. Here are the outcomes we intend to get as a result of those steps. Yes, fine. And then you use data to check and see if we're getting those outcomes. Are we getting more response on social media? Are we getting leads from our lead magnet? So it should always be very clear and very simple and not obscure. Like that's one of the things I didn't like about this previous agency. It's like there was so much gobbledygook. It's like, I don't know what you're saying is supposed to happen as a result of this, right? So that should be very clear. And then there should be metrics. There should be ways to tell whether or not that thing is happening. And then the last thing, which is a little less cut and dry, but it's critically important to me, is this sense of team, of collaboration. I have felt with you, I felt with all your resources, like you guys are on our side. We're in this together. You're with us trying to figure out how to market Proteus so that the people that we can help hear how we can help them and are motivated and inspired to come to us for that help. And we're doing it together. I feel like, we're a team, which is key.
Awesome. I love that. I know we called it the marketing dream team, didn't we? Who said that? Somebody said that. I know. I do. I love what we have built for you and the team at Proteus to help propel you to that next level. So it's definitely a project that I am very proud to have worked on, because now you guys have this team of execution experts, and they're all contractors. For all of our listeners who don't kind of know the backstory, so I worked with Erika and her team on that strategy, that assessment of data, looking at the website, social media, email marketing. Those are kind of our big pieces, and saying, okay, what's the data telling us? What does the content look like? It was very easy for me to see exactly what Erika was saying with, the content just kind of not feeling not feeling like your brand. And so then we went through my content strategy process to really kind of, get you to that next level, saying, okay, these are the topics we should be talking about, because these are the things that are important to our target audience. And these are kind of our guide rails now as we go forward and create content. And since I am a consultant and a strategist, and I am a team of one, I don't have, a whole agency behind me, but I was able to create a team for Erika on those execution pieces. So someone to help edit and publish your podcast, someone to write your emails in your blog, someone to manage LinkedIn, someone to make website edits, all of those things. And so that was a really rewarding aspect to our work together, because a lot of times my clients are like, okay, thanks for the plan, like, we got it, we're going to take it and run with it. So
because we are small and we don't have those resources internally, and as I said, all the people that you've hooked us up with are great. And I feel like another wonderful thing is this feels foundational. So as we now grow and think, okay, so who besides me in the company do we want to amplify their voice? How do we do that? If we want to target specific industries, so we have this good solid foundation with you where we're doing good things. We're doing it right. It's very clear. Now we can build on that, which is, I think, another important thing for growing companies.
Yes. And I'm so glad you said that. And I use that term a lot when I'm talking to prospective clients, like building the organic foundation is what I call it. And I think a lot of times, when we're thinking in terms of business owners having to make that decision of where am I going to invest in my marketing? I know I need to do something. A lot of times I think it can, from what I have seen, it's common for a business owner to think we just need to run some ads. We're going to pay to run ads, and like that's going to solve all of our problems. I'm not sure why people think this, but I hear it time and time again. And if they are introduced to me or usually it's through a referral or something, and they're brought to me, and I start to talk to them about the importance of building that organic foundation first, because I'll look at their website and say, there's kind of some things here we should fix before we pay a bunch of money to ads to drive more traffic to a website. If your website isn't set up in a strategic way, if it doesn't effectively communicate who you are and what you offer, if it doesn't have those opportunities and calls to action to guide someone through a journey on your website to take that next step and inquire for more information, if it doesn't do all of those things, why bother sending more website traffic to it?
Exactly. And I think that one of the reasons that you and I connected so quickly and so well is that we both have this kind of strategic mindset. I mean, one of my books is called Being Strategic. And I think a lot of times when people think about marketing, especially if they don't know much about it, they immediately think, as you've said, tactically. Let's run some ads. Let's do some posts. Let's do some stuff. Versus, no, sorry, you got to take a step back. So what are you trying to say? What's your core message? Who are you speaking to? What are the most important things for them? Those foundational understandings of who you are and who you're speaking to and about what. And I mean, you didn't have to convince me of this, obviously, but I love that that's your way of approaching it. So, like, let's start at the beginning. Let's start at getting clear about those essential elements of true marketing, which is, what are you promising to people? To whom are you promising it? What are you saying they will get as a result of that promise? And so it felt so natural to me, because that's the way my brain works. It may not initially feel naturally to other people because they may not have been thinking about it that way, but trust me, it is the place to start. It's the right place to start.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. I already want to be, I'm going to keep this conversation in my back pocket and send it to those business owners that I have to like bring over to the other side. Like, don't go straight to tactics. Let's go to strategy first.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe they think it'll be a quicker win, right? Like, maybe we'll do this one thing and that's all we need and it's going to solve our problems. And unfortunately, from past experience, I know that's just not the case. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And it's like that with anything. Like, if you're going to be like, I have a friend and colleague who's an Olympic gold medalist. And just talking to her about her life, and starting when she was in high school and really getting the foundations of what it meant. She was a hurdler. So to run and then jump, and then she couldn't just like go out and run a race and win the Olympics. There were years of prep behind that. And I think that's true of anything that's worth doing well, is you have to start with the foundation. If you're building a house, you have to start with the foundation. And that's, I think, what you allow small business people to do with their marketing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erika. This has been an awesome conversation. I think that there have been a lot of really good nuggets as far as those lessons learned and things that other business owners can kind of take away and digest and think about how they can apply it as they move forward and maybe make some decisions about their own marketing. Is there anything else that you feel like we missed that you wanted to say that we didn't cover, or any points you just kind of want to bring back and say, this is the one thing I would tell business owners as far as lessons learned and advice as far as their marketing goes?
I think the only thing I would add is, I've said that I had the benefit of knowing something about marketing and being relatively clear on what I was looking for. But even if you don't, then if you know that you need something, that you need to talk about yourselves differently, you need to generate leads differently, to really trust your instincts about who you connect with. Like, if you connect with somebody like you or another person like you, and you feel like, wow, this person really gets me, they're really clear, they're really collaborative, this person is going to help me do what I need to do. If you don't have a lot of knowledge base, then really go on your instincts. That's what I would say.
I love that. That's a great point. And I'm so glad you said that, because early I was taking notes as we were speaking, and I did want to circle back to that and I forgot. Kind of, what do you do if you don't have that background in marketing? Like you were saying, was a challenge for your team at the beginning with the initial company that you hired. So that's awesome. I love that. Trust your instincts. I think that can serve all of us in a lot of ways.
Okay, good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erika. I really, really appreciate, again, your willingness to be my first guest on Unfudge Your Marketing. I appreciate your time as always. And I am sure our guests learned a lot from this conversation. And like I said, I will be sharing ways to get in touch with Erika, where we're posting this live show, so people can reach out in case they have any questions or want to follow up and tell you how much they learned.
All right. Thanks. This was really fun. I always love talking to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Erika. Have a great day.
Bye.